Let's get you caught up on the latest at Manchester United then. We've got Rob Dawson with us and Shaka Hislop. Rob, I'll start with you because it would appear that there's been interest in Sergiño Dest and Christian Pulisic. Is it serious?
The Pulisic stuff certainly is. It's been confirmed by sources at Man United. It's also been backed up by sources at Chelsea. So there is certainly interest there. Whether it's one that gets done or not, obviously you'll know with transfers. You never know until the guy is stood on the pitch with the scarf or the shirt. But there is certainly interest there. With Sergiño Dest, that's a little bit less concrete. United are looking for a right back. They're looking for someone to come in and challenge Diego Dallo. They're not particularly happy with Aaron Wan-Bissaka at the moment, so it's a position they are looking to strengthen. Whether that turns out to be Sergiño Dest or not is another matter. Clearly, he's available, so it's one that I wouldn't write off, but certainly not as strong at the moment as Pulisic.
And with Christian Pulisic, what is it? Would it be like a season-long loan? That's the reports that I've been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, United's interest is on loan. There's also interest from Newcastle. I think they would prefer a permanent deal. The fee that's been mentioned is around 20 million, which seems quite cheap for someone like Christian Pulisic. I mean, I think United's interest in Pulisic really smacks of desperation a little bit. They obviously need to bolster their attacking options before the deadline, but this isn't a guy that they were looking at 2 or 3 months ago. It's simply because he's available. United are in that stage now of the transfer market where it looks a little bit panicked. It looks a little bit scattergun. They're running out of time before the deadline, and really it's recruitment based on players who are available rather than players who they actually want or need.
What do you make of it all, Shaka? Do you think he'd improve United?
I do. I listen. I understand. I understand Rob's point that Pulisic wasn't a player that United may have been looking at 3 or 4 months ago. But those players that they have been looking at for some time don't seem willing to join United. Certainly not at the moment. They can't get those deals over the line. And the opening games of the season have shown exactly how desperate the need is for Manchester United. The need is desperate. Then the actions that in addressing it will similarly be so. Sergiño Dest, of course, makes an awful lot of sense, as Rob points out. That right back position is one they're not happy with. Barcelona are just happy to sell anybody. It seems at the moment in trying to make their numbers add up. So that makes an awful lot of sense. At 20 million, if that's the asking price, I'm not sure why a loan is your preferred go-to option here. At 20 million in today's market, I think it's worth the gamble.
Rob, what are the feelings in Manchester as to why the start of the season's been so bad for United?
Well, I mean, it depends who you ask. I mean, the anger towards the owners is growing again. It's something that's been bubbling away ever since they took over. It's kind of risen and fallen with how successful with United have been over time. Obviously, that they're not been particularly successful. So again, the protest and the anger about the owners is rising again. There's disappointment with the summer recruitment. They thought that it was going to be something of a new era with a new manager, an exciting managerial appointment, and they thought there'd be a lot of changes to the squad to mirror that. Obviously, that hasn't happened. There's been a long-running saga with Frenkie de Jong at Barcelona. They thought at one stage that looked like it was going to get done, and now United are less confident about that. And there is panic. There's no getting away from that. They've started the season with 2 defeats. They're bottom of the Premier League table. Time is running out before the transfer deadline. You've got a little over 2 weeks to kind of sort it out. And United fans are worried. They're not only worried that they may not finish in the top 4, may not finish in the top 6. There are United fans who are genuinely talking about this being a side that would finish in the bottom half of the table, which, if you think about the success that they've had on Sir Alex Ferguson in particular, that is just, it's almost unthinkable that United would finish in the bottom half of the Premier League table. But you speak to lots of United fans in Manchester after the start they've had, and they genuinely fear that that's where they could be headed.
What are the thoughts on Ten Hag then, Rob, and how long he'll actually be given if things continue in the way that they have been?
And that's the ironic thing about all this, that the guy who really hasn't got any blame in the way that United have kind of unravelled over the last few years is Erik Ten Hag, because he's only been here a couple of months. But he is the guy that's going to pay for all this with his job. Richard Arnold, the CEO, he's not going to get sacked. John Murtough, the football director, he won't get sacked. The Glazers, the owners, obviously they can't get sacked. The players as well. The one guy who's vulnerable in all this is Erik Ten Hag, because he'll live and die by results. They've obviously got Liverpool on Monday. That is a very dangerous game for obvious reasons because of how good Liverpool are. You could find themselves sort of towards the bottom half of the table by the time that the World Cup rolls around. And then United have got a decision to make. You know, the only decision that they've got left really is whether to stick or twist at the manager. And if they were to find themselves, 10th or lower around the time that the World Cup break comes around, it's going to be very, very tempting for them to change managers. And that would be awfully unfair on Erik ten Hag, because he hasn't really had a chance. He hasn't had the players that he wanted in the summer. He's inherited a squad that performed woefully last season. But again, if this was to carry on, the one guy who would be vulnerable is Erik ten Hag, and that is very unfair. But as Shaka will know, that's football.
Yeah, Shaka, obviously he knew what he was coming into. He knows what comes with being a football manager, but it's a tense situation for him, isn't it?
You hope he knew what he's coming into. Even him, by his own admission, has said that things are a lot worse than his initial investigations found, and so he's finding this uphill climb a lot steeper than he first thought when he arrived in Manchester. But that's the way of the footballing world. Ten Hag will be the one who unfortunately may pay the price for a failing that has been many years in the making. At the same time, though, and as Rob rightly points out, this is football, and I think back to Spurs a few years ago. Hire Nuno Espirito Santo, he gets manager of the month in August and is sacked on the 1st of November to bring in Antonio Conte, and look how good Spurs have been since. Now, the question for me with Ten Hag, given the results, particularly that result against Brentford, is if this continues unabated for much longer, will Manchester United go against who they have continually shown themselves to be in terms of backing the manager? Mauricio Pochettino is still out there, still available. If these results continue, will Manchester United do what to some within that club may think of as the unthinkable? But it might be exactly what's needed. That being said, manager goes somewhere to addressing Manchester United's problems. And while there's a lot of focus been on the owners, and a lot of people saying, well, the owners don't take the field on a match day, this has been many years in the making. And for all Manchester United's issues, the one constant, the one consistent is the ownership.
Just to end, Rob, then, if the situation is to get any better, I suppose that new players coming in would be great. Are there any other transfers that you're hearing about or that we can expect to see there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the areas of the squad that United are looking at are pretty much all over the pitch. We've already mentioned right back, we've mentioned up front that they're also looking for a midfielder. There is still a slim hope that they may get Frankie de Jong over the line, but that is dwindling with every day. Cody Gakpo at PSV Eindhoven is a winger that they like. It's Ten Hag has known all about him from his time in Holland, and that's slightly complicated by the fact that PSV Eindhoven is still trying to qualify for the Champions League, obviously a competition that United aren't in. We were expecting Rabiot to come in from Juventus, but we got news last night that he's asking for too much in terms of wages, and United have kind of bought to that a little bit and have decided to cut off negotiations for now. United aren't saying that's off completely, but it would take a turnaround from the players' part to come in and say, look, I'm happy to negotiate a lower salary than previously I'd asked for. So again, I mean, it just shows where United are at the moment. You're going to see an awful lot of names mentioned in the next couple of days before the deadline, and that's not because of bad reporting. It's not because of people plucking names out of thin air. It's because United are panicked. They need players. They're looking for players who are available, and at the moment they need bodies in. And at the moment, for them, that's preferable than going into the new season with no more new signings.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN+.